Hey gang, I'm standing outside of one of the 10,000 churches here in Boonville because I wanted to kind of do this little rant video on something that I read a couple of days ago that actually made me laugh. And this rant video is going to be all about preachers, and I'll understand if a lot of people out there may get a little bit offended, may get a little upset due to the fact that, and by the way, I'm not trying to promote Cherry 7-Up. I mean, it's good stuff, but I'm not trying to promote it, so just want to get that out of the way. But there's a preacher earlier this week that apparently he's known as a hate preacher, and his name is Tony Perkins. And Tony Perkins liked to tell people that God sends natural disasters to punish gays. Well, a couple of days ago, I read some news that I thought was actually quite hilarious. It turns out that Tony Perkins' home was flooded, and I thought to myself, you know what? That's just downright funny. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny, and I think it's ironic, and I think it's karma and God got together and showed this idiot that say all you want, but you don't know exactly what you're talking about 9 times out of 10. Which brings me this whole thing about preachers, gang, and again, I can understand it might be a controversial subject, and some of you guys will probably more than likely disagree with a lot of what I say, and it's perfectly okay. I'm cool with any comments you guys want to say. Agree, disagree, it's totally cool. But the one thing I've realized about preachers is that they're about as trustworthy as politicians. You might find a few good preachers out there that as the old saying goes, practice what they preach. But a lot of times you're just going to find preachers out there who, let's just be honest, folks, they just want to take your money that you put into this little plate. They want to put it in their pockets and basically go out there and buy things that they couldn't normally buy because the fact is they don't pay taxes. And a lot of people have said over the years, well, if you want to take care of the tax problem, the economy in this world, in America, then basically tax preachers. I'm totally for that. I mean, why is it that preachers don't have to pay taxes? You tax them, the economy will go way, 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 way better. Now, I've met several preachers that were actually very decent people and very, very cool. But there are a big handful of preachers out there, folks, that basically they're not trustworthy. The earliest one I can remember was Jim Baker. The guy had an affair with a secretary, and his life just went from there. And of course, it was Jimmy Swaggart, who got caught with a prostitute twice. And then from there, you hear more of these preacher stories that are just so friggin' crazy and so insane, and you have to really sit there and think to yourself, it's like, can you really even trust them anymore? The thing is, I keep seeing and reading more of these stories on preachers who are basically sitting there and saying all the time that, they go out, they say, oh, well, I'm going to preach this about this. One in particular that really got to me was a guy who went out. He was a very popular preacher, had a wife, had kids, and preached against homosexuality. And then he was found out to be a fraud because it turned out he himself was having an affair with a male prostitute. And then, of course, you have this. Another one. I think it was right here in Arkansas, about a preacher who preached against, child molesters and all that stuff. And then you found out later that he went to go get his laptop fixed, and the guy who fixed it found a bunch of child pornography on his laptop. And then, of course, we come to Harold Camping, the man who said he found loopholes in the Bible saying that he knows when the world's going to end. He tried that crap twice in the same year and wound up being a big fraud over it. So now the big question is, when it comes to preachers, who do you trust? I would say, in all honesty, trust the ones that really do something for the community. Ones who don't really take all that money that you put into their precious little plates and put it in their pockets and go off and buy fancy cars and bigger houses and all kinds of stuff that they really don't need. Now, as you might have guessed, I'm not really a churchgoer. I do believe in God. I accepted Jesus as my Savior many, many years ago. But when it comes to church, I'm not all for it. I can live my life, just normal life, and realize that I am an imperfect human being, and I'm okay with that. I'm totally cool with that. But when it comes to preachers, I just don't trust them. I see how they live. The bigger house and the nicer things I see a preacher own, the more I don't trust them. But if I see a preacher going out there and giving his time to help the community, to help out homeless people or people that are really badly in need, those are decent people. Those are some good people. But like I said, the ones who are basically just taking the money you're putting into their plate and putting it in their own pockets to get what they want, I don't think they're very trustworthy. In fact, I think they're scum of the earth, and to tell you the truth, they're not living up to what they say. They're not living up to what they preach, or practicing what they preach, as I said before. So, yeah, so when it comes to preachers, forget them. I don't listen to them. I don't watch them. I don't care for what they have to say. There aren't that many out there that are actually good people anymore. Most of them, most of the time, they're a bunch of hypocrites and a bunch of false people. And to tell you the truth, you know, if some preacher's trying to tell me how to live my life, I tell him, you know what, dude, why don't you just back off and let me live my life the way I want to live it? Only God can judge me. You can't really do jack squat. So there you guys have it. But I just want to say to anybody who followed Ted Perkins, well, I bet you right now you all feel like fools. A man who preaches hate who says God sends natural disasters to gay people as punishment, I think it's a load of crap. I think it's stupid. I think it's ridiculous. I think basically anybody who sits there and says, I personally know God and I know what God's all about and all this other nonsense, they're liars. You know, I can sit here and say that I know God personally, but you all will know I was lying. I don't know God personally. We don't hang out on the weekends. We don't text each other or anything like that. Basically, God is God. We can't sit here and say that God does this and this and this and this because, you know, that's what he does. We don't know why God does what he does. He just does it. That's pretty much the answer. So no matter what kind of bad things happen in this life, I'll always continue to believe in God, and I will always continue to just look at the stupid people in the world who get what they deserve because they want to sit there and say that God does this and this and this because they know he does this for a reason. And I'm going to sit back, laugh, and just say, you're a hypocrite. Well, I'm gonna get on out of here because I'm starting to feel a little weird standing in front of this church talking about preachers. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below about how you feel about Ted Perkins or any preachers that are just fakes and hypocrites. Love to hear from you guys. And if you know one who is one, you don't have to leave their name below, but you know, just share a story if you like, or just tell me what you think about this video. And of course, if you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. I'm going to get on out of here. I know I said that already, but I need to because, like I said, it's starting to feel a little weird around here. Take care, guys. And as always, stay strong and rock on.